Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for booking with me on Metafy. Really excited for our session today. Just want to do a bit of like housekeeping before we get into things. Ask you a couple questions. Make sure you're okay with a couple things, and then we'll jump right in. Sound good?
Yes, that's great. Good to meet you.
Awesome. So first question is, how do I pronounce your tag? Would you prefer to be addressed by your tag or just your name? And how long have you been playing Melee?
Yeah, Matador works great. I bought the game when it came out and going to tournaments sporadically since like 2012.
Oh, okay, nice. So you've been playing for a while.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Second question is, how did you find and why did you want to book we on Metafy? What made you consider me over other coaches?
Sure. Well, frankly, one was availability. I wanted somebody this week, so that's how I figured out the set. And then I chose you because you play Marth, and I want to get better against Marth, and you've got a pretty good reputation as a Marth. You've had some like good tournament successes.
Cool, thank you. So yeah, last question. What are your goals, which you kind of hinted at right now? You want to get better against Marth. What are your goals with Melee right now? And what do you seek to get out of this coaching or any future coaching sessions in the future?
Yeah, so my goal with Melee right now, I'm gold two. I want to make plat one. And
Okay.
Marth is my toughest matchup right now. I find that he just grabs me and then he kills me. And if I'm ever off the edge, I die too. So
Yep.
it just feels really hard to beat him, and I want to get better at that.
Okay, sure. Um, yeah, and you said you play Falco, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we can talk about a little bit about game plan, stuff like that. I do want to let you know. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said this at the beginning of the session. It totally escaped my mind. This is being recorded right now. It's not being streamed or anything like that. I record all my lessons privately, so you can have a YouTube link to that. If you don't want it recorded, I can delete it or just stop recording right now. But I figure it's helpful for you at the end of the session, just so you can review anything that you and I have talked about together.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so if that's okay, I'll keep the recording going.
Totally.
Um, so yeah, one thing I do with a lot of my different students is we talk about game plans versus game plans and kind of like being able to solve solutions on your own versus me just giving you a couple quick answers for like how do I do XYZ or what move beats what, right?
Mhm.
Um, the main reason being, I'm sure you've heard in a lot of different coaching sessions, or if you've even if you've like asked people for advice, right? Like, what can I do better against Marth? And like a lot of the time, like I can give you a couple quick tips, right? And you can pay me to do that with Metafy. But truth be told, you're gonna run into a different Marth eventually, and they're gonna do that same move a different way, or just do a different move entirely, and then all of a sudden that advice and the money you spent isn't really as worth it anymore. So when it comes to my coaching, I'm very big on long-term improvement. So while a couple answers might help you today, I definitely will let you know, just first and foremost, that it's not really how Melee works, where I can just give you a couple answers to solve Marth as a character. Your opponent is also human. So I'm very big, like I said, on long-term coaching, which does involve multiple sessions. However, if you're not interested in that, perfectly fine. You already have the session today. I can give you a basic game plan to build off of, and we can kind of talk about that just for today. You can play around with it, see if you like it, and then if you come back with more questions after you kind of learn from there, we can take it from that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I'm going to grab it here from my Discord. I keep all my basic game plans in notes here. Okay, so I have it here, my basic game plan, and I'm going to copy paste two messages to you. The first one is the basic game plan um, for how to deal with Falco. Uh, but I guess truth be told, this is from the opposite perspective. This is for Falco for Marth, or sorry, Marth for Falco. Like how do Marths beat Falcos? But it might give you some insight as to like what a Marth would be looking for in particular. Like, you can play from their brains, right? And then we'll talk about how do you beat Marth in particular, which is basically the reverse end of this, right? So just give me a sec. I'm gonna make this a little prettier for you so it's a little easier to read.
Sure.
Okay, so just give me 1 second. Okay. and then okay. So we'll talk about that, and then kind of take it from there. I think would be the best way to do this. Okay, so when it comes to playing against Marth, before we even like read any of this and talk about it, why don't you tell me why you've been struggling against Marth, other than just grab and he dies? Because I think almost at any point that it's probably going to be the case unless you have good defensive counterplay, which we can talk about that in watching VODs or something. But just generally speaking, what's going on?
Yeah, so in neutral, when I approach, I find Marth has a lot of options with movement, even
Mm-hmm.
working around lasers now, that it's tough to get in on him. Like if I try and laser shine, if he shields, I think he can grab me, or if he's not shielding, he can just run away. And if
Right.
I play, so I've been trying to play defensively and laser him and make him approach, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's been working a little bit better. I've been kind of labbing out like his different approach options and which of mine beat him, and I guess the challenge there is just depending on what spacing he does with that big old sword, he can beat any of my options if he has the right spacing. So that's
Right.
tough too. And then when I do get grabbed, yeah, like you mentioned, often a death sentence. I don't think I'm that strong at like DIing and smash DIing out of his combos.
Right. Okay. Yeah, DI against Marth is like really, really important. I would argue he's one of the characters it's like most underrated for, even though it's like one of the characters it's most important for, because I don't know. I feel like a lot of spacies they kind of get DI like pretty well for like Fox up throw up air and like getting out of like up throw up smash and stuff like that and not getting gimped. And same with Falco and pillar combos. They DI those pretty well. Then when it comes to Marth, they just kind of crumble. Maybe it's because Marth is a little bit easier to follow up on, no matter which way you DI, than Fox and Falco sometimes. Just because they require a little bit of technical ability. But I do think DIing Marth's combos in general and playing those mix-ups that come with them is probably the easiest way outside of like actually technically difficult defensive techniques to kind of like stop him from getting zero deaths and stuff off grab. So we could talk about that maybe in another time with VOD review, because I think first and foremost you might need a basic game plan, right?
Yeah.
So I'll share my screen here and just so you can see my mouse and follow along with me while I'm reading this. I'm not going to read it word for word because I mean you have the ability just as much as I do, but I do want to talk about a couple like important parts of it. And we can kind of piece it apart from there. So, like I said, this is a Marth game plan for Falco. So this is a short blurb I've written up for Marth players looking to beat Falco. And we do talk about like Falco's weaknesses and like are those weaknesses good for Marth, right? So when you do VOD review, you can check to see like what can I do to make this happen? What's going on in my games where this isn't happening? But on the flip side, we also have what is Falco good at and why is that bad for Marth, right? So the reason I give this to my Marth students is because these are the things they're looking to avoid in neutral, right? And these are the things that like no matter what, like you can't really ever be okay with these kind of things. You always have to be dodging them. So good for you, basically, is what that means, right? Like these are the things you need to know. So yeah, when it comes to the Marth Falco match, or sorry, the Falco Marth matchup, Laser does control the whole stage. It is pretty debatable, and some Falcos will kind of undermine, and I think that's how it is with every character of every main, right? Like they'll always undermine the strengths of their characters. But yeah, it's pretty fair to say I think Laser controls the whole stage.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you shoot a laser on Temple, right? Like Falco's laser goes way, way further than Fox's and has a lot more versatility in how it's used. So, that's Marth's biggest like gripe is lasers in this matchup. You'll notice here if you read the weaknesses, or sorry, the pros for Marth, a lot of it involves not approaching Falco at certain ranges, kind of like what you were describing, where you feel like no matter what you do, like it's always like not in your favor. I definitely wouldn't go as far as to say that you can't beat him at certain ranges, but I certainly can agree that, you know, risk reward for what you throw out versus what he throws can be night and day at certain ranges. So the problem with that though for Marth is in order to get to these ranges, he needs to condition Falco to not be lasering as much.
Yeah.
So you could read this outside the lesson to kind of get an idea a little bit into like a Marth's head, and maybe that can help you just when you find like your back's against the wall, you can kind of think about what they're looking for. But I think what we should focus on instead for the majority of this session is talking about what you can do versus what you're trying to like, what they're trying to stop you from doing, right?
Sure.
So yeah, like I said, laser controls the whole stage, and at certain ranges, you need to abuse it or kind of like don't get too close so you can go back to abusing laser, because ultimately laser stops one of Marth's biggest strengths, which is that his movement and range is super strong. Right, Falco laser stops him right in his tracks from moving, and it also outranges everything he has, right? So
Yeah.
it's really good until he starts power shielding, which we'll get into then. But basically as a neutral point, or like step number one kind of thing, laser as much as possible if you can. I know that sounds brain dead and a little bit like no thought behind it, but we'll build upon just lasering as much as you can, because truthfully it is free pressure that you need to abuse in the matchup, no matter how anybody says if you're lame or cool or whatever. Laser is what makes Falco even close to beating Marth, you know.
Play to win. And I guess we'll get into the specific, because he does have, well, you got him right here, those ways that he beats lasers, and I want to beat
Yeah,
those strategies.
so yeah, we'll talk about that as well. I think just from a main point, we'll talk about how to play outside of laser, but I want to set as the ground rule that laser as much as possible if you can, because if they don't deal with it, then you just win, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll talk about what does Falco have outside of laser, because I think that once you kind of bring in all the things outside of laser, it makes laser just that much stronger. So one of the best advantage points for Falco in the matchup is hitting Marth on shield. The main reason being, like you can kind of read here, his shield pressure allows him to cover every outer shield option Marth has, right? Marth technically cannot. There's not an option that Falco has to beat Marth up B, or the other way around. There's not an option that Falco doesn't have to beat Marth up B, or like grab or roll or spot dodge, whatever. Everything you can do, it's a mix up. So that's a really important thing to note. Whereas a lot of Marths, especially at lower levels in like gold, silver, bronze, a lot of Marths will either rely on forward smash or shield grabbing, because they're looking for either to kill you outright or get a grab to lead to a kill, right? So if you kind of understand the basic idea that shield is a bad position for Marth, and you pay attention to what option is he spamming a lot of the time in shield, it becomes a lot easier to beat those options, right? Because if you can keep a mental note of that, like Marth keeps grabbing me every time I hit his shield with my downer, then you shine after, or now he's waiting for my shine, then you do another shine, or you do a downer out of the shine. But you can always beat like Marth's shield grab, for example. Same thing with roll though. Marth rolls every time I hit his shield. Well, then you do a down air, and then you don't hit his shield again, and then you read him and do a down air behind him, kind of thing, right? That's the basic idea of shield pressure. It's just so that he can't hit you. So I would as a default try and cover options that beat grab over and over. So good ones being like shine grab are really great. It's a little technical, but it's super strong at beating shield grab with Marth. You can do a space down air on shield. Mango's really popular for doing that. He'll space a down air outside of Marth's grab range, and then they'll whiff a grab right in your face, and he'll forward smash you. Options like that. So the main idea is that you always want to be thinking about what is Marth doing when you hit his shield. It's okay the first time if you don't know, because every opponent is different. It's kind of how every interaction is the first time you play them. But the next time you hit a shield, you really have to be paying attention to, okay, last time he grabbed me, what is he going to do here, right? And then kind of play off there.
This
kind of play out that.
What does shine grab lose to?
Sorry?
What does shine grab lose to that Marth can do?
Shine grab loses to spot dodge. It loses to roll away, but it beats shield grab and it beats holding shield, right? Technically, you might be able to do an up B at a shield potentially to beat it, but again, like that would just lose to you holding shield or doing really any aerial, right? So
yeah.
The main point is that Marth often has to take a very big risk to get an option out of shield. grab is his biggest reward, so that's the one you want to be beating the most. But if he's wrong on any guess, you get a hit, and then you can convert that into a massive combo, which kind of leads into my next point. If you get a hit on Marth, the biggest piece you're looking to hit is shine. Shine or down air, depending on the percent. But like assuming you're starting from 0, your basic game plan right now, you would want to get a shine as much as possible. The main reason being something that I think a lot of low-level players don't really grasp on when they're first learning the game, and it kind of carries on into higher levels like gold, platinum, diamond, things like that. Something they don't really like feel the need to do, which I understand because a lot of people don't use it, so they don't have to play against that counterplay themselves, but you have to play around crouch cancel. That's like the real secret to getting good in melee. Is crouch cancel is a massive mechanic that kind of lets you get free reversals a lot at the higher levels, but it's really spammable at a lot of the mid levels, where people will spam crouch. So if a Marth player like crouches your down air, which isn't really as relevant against Falco, but it's still important to know, Marth can technically crouch cancel down air and grab you for it, or he can definitely crouch cancel your back air or your nair or whatever, right? Even forward smash, he can crouch cancel it at 0. So the idea is that shine is a move that has massive combo potential and beats crouch cancel outright. You can't crouch cancel Falco shine. So when you're looking to get a hit, if you have an opportunity to whiff punish, more often than not, it's safer to go for a shine than anything else, assuming like they're in lag or you have the opportunity to get it. And kind of like the same idea, shield pressure, there's a lot of options you have with shine. So it's not to say that it's ever bad really to go for, just because you have so many like different moves and movement techniques you can do outside of shine, right? So shine is really great for getting a pillar combo started. You can do shine into down air, you can do shine up air and start a juggle, shine back air, put him off stage. But yeah, basically that's going to rack up a ton of damage and eventually will lead to either an edge guard situation or a tech chase. But either way, you can kill him off both, right? So at any point, shine is always like a massive, massive thing to go for.
I really like up tilt against some characters, but I guess with Marth, like it's hard to get him with an up tilt except in the middle of a combo, just because he's got such range.
Yeah, I think up tilt really isn't as strong with Falco against Marth versus Fox, which is why there's always a debate of who has a better up tilt. Even though Falco's is bigger, I think his speed doesn't really let him like abuse it as much as Fox. But yeah, I think down air into turnaround up tilt, for example, if you hit him at like 40, you can get a down air, pops him up, will beat crouch cancel, and then you just instantly turn around and do an up tilt. That's like an amazing combo. It's really great for catching DI in. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I often treat Falco up tilt almost like a shine because they have similar like knockback angles where they send straight up kind of thing, or a little bit up and away. But yeah, no, it's super good. But I'm totally with you on that. It's a little bit harder to hit in neutral for sure. But yeah, speaking of tilts, that kind of leads to my last point about strengths for Falco in the matchup is that even if you let Marth recover, right? So we talk about laser to control neutral. We talk about how to beat shield. We talk about what combos and like things, main moves are you looking to hit him for as like a basic idea. So now you're in like the punish or edge guard state. So what are you looking to do then? So more often than not, Falco is really, really strong at tech chasing Marth with laser and all of his aerials. They'll cover any tech option at almost any distance, depending on if you time it properly. So if you, sorry.
But I've got to read when I'm tech chasing. Right? Like I usually, unless I'm on like a platform, I can't react and cover everything.
Well, I do think there's often a lot of misconceptions about how to react to tech chasing. I can link you a video on how that kind of works, but the long or the short of it is no, you don't have to read, and no, you don't have to always react. It's often a combination of both, or setups where you can get guaranteed tech chases without even having to really like think about it. You can just kind of do it, and it'll either work or it doesn't, but it won't put you in a bad spot. So tech chasing is a little bit more complicated than just read and react. But I'll link you a video on that. So you can watch that because that might get your might give you a different perspective on it all. How to tech chase by Pipsqueak is the video. Okay, so yeah, I will send you this link. Get rid of all this extra info because I was in the middle of watching it a while ago, but it's a year old now, but it's still super relevant to modern day. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, talking about when you get a hit, right? More often than not, like I said, they'll either end up in a tech chase where you can extend your combo, but even then, they'll either be off stage where you edge guard them, and edge guarding it's a whole other concept, or they get put on the ledge, right? One thing to understand is that Marth, he is the what's the word I'm looking for? He's the victim of a stereotype. That's what I'm trying to say. Marth is a victim of a stereotype in that he's actually not good at the ledge. He is very scary to play against in the corner, and more often than not, I would definitely not recommend doing high risk moves in the corner against Marth, because if he gets a grab, then it's a complete reversal and you have the potential of dying. But Mewtwo King has ruined the Melee community in that he has abused the ledge when a lot of ledge play was not really developed at the time. So he would really abuse gimping people at the ledge over and over. In the modern day of Melee, most good players know that Marth actually struggles really hard to get off the ledge. The main reason being he doesn't have a good ledge dash like Fox, Falco, or Falcon, or Sheik. So the way Marth gets off the ledge, I think if you understand that, you kind of understand how to stop him from getting on the ledge. So I'll show you, I have quick pictures of that, which I can show you here. So from the ledge position, right, Marth doesn't have a ledge dash. His frame perfect best ledge dash only gives him 4 frames of invincibility, which practically means that he can only like get on the stage and put his shield up invincibly, right? Yeah. So how do Marth players get off the ledge? They do it by using forward air. Forward air or up air or nair are the moves that Marth will use to get off the ledge. And the reason why they're using these aerials is because they occupy a space where there's no hitbox for the opponent on the opposite end to hit Marth, because there's a disjointed sword between them, like Marth and Fox, right? In this case. So this picture I have here is the furthest Marth sword can reach from the ledge, like furthest possible. And as you can see, it's like almost half of a battlefield platform, but like a pretty decent chunk of the ledge, right? So he, from there, can do a forward air. Some people will beat this forward air in particular by running up close to Marth, and they'll intentionally try and get hit by the weak hit, so they can crouch cancel shine or crouch cancel up smash it. But that's more often a read than like a regular easy option to go for, in my opinion. Because I don't know, Marth has the ability to kind of drift everywhere from max distance. So this forward air can reach here, but he can reach here, it can reach here, here. So he always has the ability to get a tipper out, right? But that's the idea, is that Marth uses his sword to get back on the ledge and even stall at the ledge. He can use his sword here to swing and then re-grab the ledge in one jump, right? There is counterplay. You can hit him for this one a little easier if you hit him from above with like a down air with Falco, or you can jump and grab the ledge between the swing and the grab. That's an option. But I think the easiest way for Falco to do it, and I think Falco is one of the best characters at getting Marth to stay on the ledge. Oh, this might be not the best example because he dies instantly. But let's assume there's a Marth here on the ledge, right? I'm just going to put him in the corner here. Is to stay at a distance where I'm going to go on battlefield just to kind of draw this picture a little cleaner. The idea is that you can go on any stage, right? Have Marth on the ledge, and just like how we talked about, where in this example, the forward air reaches just underneath the battlefield platform, right? Almost center. I think the Fox might have jabbed here, that's why he's getting hit, but if I stand right here where I am with Falco, where Marth won't be able to hit me with that forward air, all of a sudden, we talk about disjointed hitboxes. What about a moving disjointed hitboxes, right? That's what Falco Laser is. So Falco Laser will beat Marth in this position. And if you hit him with Laser, because you're close enough, you can often combo into like F Smash. Or my preference in this spot, which is really difficult for Marth to deal with if I'm playing Falco, is Laser F Tilt like this. Because it reaches super far, And Marth doesn't have the time to get hit by laser and land, or get hit by laser and do a forward air in the air before this leg will kick him off stage again.
Yeah.
And it constantly pushes him off stage, back on the ledge, so he can't escape this position. Or off stage enough where you can grab the ledge and start an edge guard, right? You can do that into like a Marth killer. So laser F tilt roll to Marth killer. You can do laser F tilt to re-grab the ledge. I messed up my jump, but you get the idea. So the only real counterplay Marth has to that, this laser like this in the corner, is get up counter. But even then, if your lasers are good enough, the counter won't reach because you're at a distance where it's annoying and he won't be able to counter you from this far away. Or he can try jumping from the ledge, but even still, because laser's so actionable, you can react and just hit him, right?
Yeah.
So this is the strongest thing you can do against Marth, is spam laser like this, and if he gets up from ledge after the laser shoots and hits him, you kick him off. You can do F tilt, or you can do F smash. But my opinion is that the F tilt, especially the downward angled F tilt like this, is super annoying to deal with because it hits really low. Will often catch Marths trying to jump from the ledge, right?
Why is the low one good?
Sorry?
Why is the low version of it good?
It's just a little better at guaranteeing that the leg hits. Sometimes Marths, what they'll do is from this ledge position. Well, here, I'll just control him. Sometimes what they'll do from this position is they'll jump like a little higher, and they'll smash the other laser up, so they kind of get knocked up a little bit. I might be able to show this actually a little easier in laser training. It might be power shield training.
Yeah.
But the idea, right, is that you can see it kind of a little bit, but I can like kind of like shift my body upwards, right? After I get hit by a laser. So it's just the idea that the low laser kind of like guarantees that the leg hits, because from the ledge position, it's a lot more harder to do that. And sometimes like he can just as easily also smash the eye laser downwards to try and like land. And that's why, again, like I said, the lower angled F tilt is just better for that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's mostly how to beat Smash Jab. But that's basically like Marth cannot, like, what am I supposed to do, especially if he's closer? I don't even know if I can move him. Yeah, I can't move him. But the idea is like, if you were to be close to the ledge, it's like you saw how many lasers just got shot by that Falco in a second, right? And how am I supposed to approach him without power shielding, right? And you can't power shield from the ledge, so it's like it gets pretty tough.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's not even talking about what combos are good against Marth. How do I edgeguard Marth? How do I beat this move, right?
I guess that's the win condition. Get him on the ledge. Keep him...
Exactly. Yeah, these are all basic setups that no matter what level of the game you're playing, these will always work, right? It doesn't matter if you're playing Zane or like the guy who just picked up the controller for the first time. Laser will always reach the whole stage. Laser is always good at dealing with Marth in the corner because he just doesn't, as a character, he just doesn't have the options to kind of beat these things if you present them at the right time, right? So yeah, I would definitely focus on the strength, and negatives for you should really be rewarded to, I'm just going to change these for characters, actually. I should even call them like the pronoun version. I should just say weaknesses for Falco. It would just make way more sense. So yeah, pros for Marth, right? And then strengths for Falco, negatives for Marth. They're really, the strengths and negatives are really like weaknesses for Falco, pros for Marth. This is really just the same thing twice, just reworded from opposite perspectives.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of paints a clearer picture if you talk about it from both people's perspective.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, that's basically for Falco, a basic game plan on how to beat Marth. We can talk about anti-laser strategies, but I have talked about it in quite a number of other Metafy sessions. So rather than waste your time, unless you have specific questions about it, I might just recommend watching one of my recent tutorials with a student on Marth Falco. It's from the Marth perspective, but the long and the short of it is that auto cancel nair will beat a low laser, and then dash back and forward is a way to beat laser with movement, and then this is power shielding is every laser that's not low laser. So from your perspective, that would mean you need to shoot mid or high lasers, which most Falcos do, but you need to practice being able to shoot low laser because Marth can't power shield a low laser. And I think low laser is arguably the hardest laser to do, but if you get good at it, then it becomes really easy. It's kind of like L canceling. It's just something you have to practice, but once you get it down, really strong.
Awesome. What did you say 2 loses to?
So two, so one, two, it's not ordered in like best to worst kind of thing. These are just like three options. So 2 loses to basically like Falco being close. Like if he does a close laser, the point, let me talk about the point of 2 and you'll kind of, that's probably an easier way to kind of frame it. Kind of like we talked about here, strength and negatives, right?
Sure.
So why Marth wants to dash after laser is to put a little bit of distance between Marth and Falco, right?
Yeah.
Dash, you'll often hear about take laser dash back. So these are actually take laser, like get hit by the laser and then dash away or dash towards Falco. So when he dashes away, he's trying to like get a little bit of distance between him and Falco. And if he's dashing forwards toward Falco after being hit by a laser, it means he wants to either close the distance or cross him up, meaning usually what Falcos will do after hitting a laser is they'll throw an aerial out at Marth, but they'll do like an aerial instantly, and Marth can run underneath that. So that's why I say it's underrated in the sense that like a lot of people often try and just run away from laser and put a little bit of distance between them so they don't get stuck in shield and then caught by like really anything. They don't want to get stuck in shield, so they'll put a bit of distance between them so they can swing their sword. But I actually do think that running towards Falco is a little underrated because you can get underneath them. But yeah, so that's why Marth wants to move, is basically just to create or shorten distance. But yeah, how do you take laser dash back? You throw out a move or you shoot another laser, right? When you put it on paper, anything beats a character. If you hit a character with anything, it beats someone just moving, right? He can't. He's not shielding because he's moving. He could, but again, shield is a really, really bad spot for Marth in this matchup. So it's not like it's the end of the world for you, even if it doesn't work. But yeah, so to beat laser dash back, I would either just shoot another laser or overshoot your downer. Do you understand the concept of overshooting? Hello?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I heard something. I heard it cut out.
Oh.
So yeah, you would either do a laser into overshoot down air to beat dash back, or you could do a laser into down air in place to beat forward. I'm saying down air, but you can use any of these moves really.
Does that work? No, Marth is faster than Falco. He'll just catch.
Yep, of course, because the laser. Think of it this way: the laser is always moving with Marth, and the laser is actually faster than Marth. So even though Falco as a character is slower than Marth, his range and reach is faster than Marth's, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because laser kind of makes up for it. I often compare, and I don't play Street Fighter, so this is a very weak comparison. If you do, you can totally call me out on it, but just in my head, this makes sense. I often compare Falco to Dhalsim, because like Dhalsim is he's like a reverse Dhalsim in the sense that like instead of the arms, the laser can shoot out the whole stage at any point. But why Falco is like a so crazy, such a ridiculous version of him is unlike Dhalsim. If you get in on Falco, it's still really bad for you, right? So with Marth doesn't want to be right on top of Falco, but he doesn't want to be too far away either, because no matter what, he's going to face like constant pressure that he doesn't really have many answers for. He wants to hit a certain sweet spot. And I do have a picture of that I can show you about what the sweet spot kind of looks like for Marth.
Sure.
Just give me 1 second because it's in my DMs with another student. Okay.
Nice background too.
Sorry?
Nice background.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, this is the ideal range for Marth Falco. I'm just pulling it up here. Okay. This is it here. This is the ideal range for Marth, right? Maybe a little bit closer, or a little bit further out, but the idea, probably a little bit closer. But this is where you would want to play neutral at the very least. This is when I would consider the peak of Falco neutral. Anywhere in between is, or like further out or closer in is like it's like pro for Falco, right? It's advantage state, sorry. Because if you're too far away, you have laser pressure, which Marth can't hit you with anything from if you're further away. And if you're too close, well, now you've just enabled laser plus shine plus up tilt plus jab and all these like crazy fast moves that Marth doesn't have the startup to beat, right? So that's the idea, is that he needs to be at a certain range where he can get a forward air out in time with disjoint, kind of like similar to the ledge where we talked about how you can't, Marth, Falco or Fox can't really do anything about dealing with trying to hit Marth while he has this forward air out. But on the flip side, Falco has laser, so you can always hit him if he's too far away, and you can always hit him if he's too far close. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can you show me that photo again?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I thought I sent it to you. Actually, I'll just send it to you. So yeah, this is, like I said, about the furthest in or away where it's considered neutral. So this is like an ideal position for Marth in this matchup, because at any point he can get in and dash attack. Marth could technically be like a step closer. Like he could be about to where I would say probably the edge of the tree is, right? And it would still probably be neutral, but I think this is like the furthest away Marth can be where it's still like neutral for him. Further out or closer in, and I would say it's much better for Falco. Like if Marth was right at the edge of the tree, it's way a better position for Falco.
Yeah, because it's just at that point, Marth can't react to what Falco does, and you can throw out a mix
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Truth be told, you still really can't react at most ranges, but it's just the idea that where Marth's tippers are more likely to connect, and he has a little bit of easier time hitting them because Falco doesn't have the range outside of laser. And kind of like similarly to the anti-laser strategies where Marth has certain movement techniques and abilities he can use to beat certain lasers. But yeah, the idea is that I say to a lot of my students, beating Falco laser is kind of like a 1 in 3. Which of the 3 are you going to pick? Or which of the three, one of the 3 he is going to do? And from this range, it's a lot easier to get around the 1 in 3 and guess wrong and have it be okay. But at closer range or further out, it's just bad for Marth, right? So I would say for Falco, close the distance or widen the distance, but either way, you're not really at risk of Marth hitting you at this spot either. So it's still neutral, you know?
Yeah, I guess thinking about the decision tree for, let's say here, Marth's ideal range, at least with lasers, basically like the trade-off between 1 and 3, high and low laser, that makes sense. And then it seems like 2 is not really relevant here until I get closer.
For you, yeah, not so much. Because 2, if he dashes back, like he's just widened the distance, cool. You don't care. That's good for you.
Right.
And 2, if he gets in, he's still not going to be able to hit you outright because you have the ability to shoot another laser at this spot, right?
Mhm.
So, and like I said, closer up, and like you said also, you just have faster startup, so it's still not a risk for you. Dash forward, like towards, is really only good if you like. Sorry, I'm messing up on my own words. Dash forward is only really good here if Marth has a hard call out that you're gonna like chase him, you know. But I don't think good Falcos really chase. They're very comfortable sitting at their certain ranges with laser. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then I guess the range where it's not safe to laser anymore is basically the range of Marth's dash attack.
Um, yeah, I would say yeah about the range of Marth's dash attack is pretty accurate. Yeah. It's not to say that it's necessarily unsafe to laser. It's just that he has a one chance to hit you with laser. But like, you can beat Marth's dash attack by shooting a low laser, for example, right? So, like I said, it's at any point if Marth wants to beat Falco laser at this range, or a little bit closer, it basically boils down to a 1 in 3. Marth doesn't have anything that will consistently beat Falco laser, but on the flip side, Falco doesn't have a laser that beats everything Marth has. Does that make sense?
What was the second part again?
So Marth doesn't have anything that beats every Falco laser, but Falco doesn't have a laser that beats every option that Marth has. But the difference is that Marth is counterplaying a Falco laser, whereas Falco is constantly putting on the pressure. So basically, Marth has a 1 in 3 to win a neutral interaction involving laser, and Falco has a 2 in 3, right? So laser is always in Falco's favor, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and can
Yeah.
we talk about how to follow up off of laser? Because a lot of the time, I find if Marth just grabs after getting hit by a laser or does the dash back or just fares out of it, like he'll hit me with
Mhm.
all of that.
Yeah. So Um, laser is a distance-based projectile versus for how you follow up on it. Sorry, not a distance-based projectile. All projectiles are distance-based.
You're not wrong.
Um, but yeah, I'm not wrong. Yeah, but yeah, laser. The way you follow up on it is distance-based. Similarly, it's also how Mirth can get out of it, right? So when we talk about laser forward air, right? At this range, if Marth does a forward air, he's not like it's not a really a great option for him to do because he's not really like threatening anything with the forward air. He just makes him more susceptible to be able to be hit by another laser, right? But if Marth was right on top of you and took the laser and did a forward air, then it's a little bit better for him because now he can hit you with the forward air. On the flip side, for Falco, laser has no leg. So even if Marth does laser forward air, if he is literally on top of Falco versus like a tipper forward air spacing on top of Falco, Falcon can just shield after the laser and like beat it, right? Or he can just dash away from the laser if it's tipper spacing and like the flare is just gonna whiff, right? So it's it's kind of one of those things in melee where it's like it's not really how do I beat everything with this one thing? It's what are my options, right? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
So I would definitely look at the situation as more so what are my options after shooting this laser at this distance, right? So I think why I have my little like game plan write-ups structured like this is these are like I consider them like the truths of the matchup. Like you can't argue laser doesn't control the whole stage, right? Um, and when you're looking through your own VODs, kind of like what we have here, I think these questions should probably be on the flip side, maybe, but what can I do to make laser controlling the whole stage happen? Or what can I do to, or what am I doing to let Martha be within this range? What could I do otherwise? Or what am I doing where Martha's power shielding or jumping over or counter hitting me with fair at all these ranges? What could I be doing instead? I think when you look at that kind of question, like the laser question, with that kind of framework, it becomes a little bit easier to answer. I think it's more situational based, basically, is the long and the short of it, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that makes sense. I mean, I often think about it like rocks, paper, scissors, and I guess I'm just not sure what the cycle is for Marth. I guess it's shield one of his aerials, first go in on him with an overshoot versus movement, versus shoot another laser if they're just not close enough. That's
well, I
definitely
think
oversimplification.
Yeah, I think the idea for laser of like why you're doing them in the first place, you can look at it from the Marth's perspective, right? It is constant damage and constant stage control you're getting hit by if you don't deal with laser. So Marth's biggest goal is to find a way to deal with laser or make you stop shooting them and be scared to do so, right? That's what he's looking to do. On the flip side, you're looking to shoot as many as possible, take as much stage, and then eventually, where you can, force him to overcommit or put himself in a bad position where the dice is more in your favor kind of thing. And then eventually you can get like a shine or an edge guard or whatever, right? Like you have your game plan.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would say that each laser is kind of like its own thing, but again, it's one of those things where like based on the distance between the two of you, it's kind of like rock paper scissors, but you also have like dynamite and you can blow anything up at a certain point because it's more stacked and it's not a true rock paper scissors. It's rock paper scissors, but you get to go twice kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Maybe that's a bad analogy because if you go twice in actual rock paper scissors, you just instant win. But you know what I mean.
twice.
You have you have twice the chance to win is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
He
playing.
has a 1 in 3 in every laser. You have a 2 in 3. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's basically like a risk reward ratio based on distance is how you deal with laser from both characters' perspective. If you like, we do have about 15 minutes before an hour runs up. We could watch a quick game of you playing against Marth if you have Slippy on your computer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can
We
send
could.
you a VOD because my computer's not that strong.
Sure, yeah, that works. It's actually easier anyway because then I can rewind and go back and whatever.
Awesome.
Um, so yeah. If you want to just find a quick video of you playing against a Marth, we can talk about that. Um, and just while you search for that, I just will let you know that I know we're talking a lot about basic game plans right now, so I don't expect you to be able to run off right after this session and beat every Marth that you run into, right? Like I said, that's not really how coaching works because, I could maybe give you the answers for one Marth, but another Marth is going to play different. But I'm hoping this gives you kind of like the ability to just kind of like think of the matchup in a different way, and also while also give you some general structure of like how it should be played. And then if you are interested in any other future coaching sessions, we can talk about like the for sure how do you do it. It's like how do you edge guard Marth? What are the best combo tools to hit against them once you get this certain move? Or just like what we're doing right now, like VOD analysis, like I cannot figure out this Marth. I have my game plan. I don't know what's going wrong. Help me. And that's what I'm here for, So yeah, those are examples of things we can do in other future sessions. Something I'm also going to be introducing soon is just for an hour, like watching someone play on Netplay, like one of my students, and then I'll just coach them live kind of thing while they play. So if you are interested in that, that's not on Metafy right now, just because I haven't taken the time to actually set it up, but it is something we can for sure do.
Awesome. Yeah, I think especially helping like break down Falco's options for Smart, both in neutral and then in edge guarding, would both be super useful because this has been awesome. Like I feel like I have a game plan and I just need more detailed knowledge on what beats what, which I'll try
Yeah,
to figure out on my own too.
for sure. Yeah. But I mean, the other thing too, I do want to say now that you are a student of mine, please feel free at any point. You don't have to book a session to ask me a question. You can always just send me a DM, and I will answer it as soon as I'm able to. Just where I do work full time and go to tournaments myself.
Yeah.
But I will let you know that I'll answer any question as much as you have them. But if something is a little bit more complicated or kind of like the Falco laser example, where I don't think it really is something that can be like explained in like one sentence or a paragraph and it's kind of like a little bit more in depth, I might suggest we might book a session for that. But I don't want you to think that it's me like looking to get a million sessions out of you. I have a bunch of students already myself, so like I already get my money from Metafy. I'm genuinely just trying to help you when I say this isn't something that really can be answered quite like that. So yeah, just so you know,
Cool.
please always feel free to send me a DM.
Yeah, that's awesome. And your rates are
But
super reasonable, so definitely not hesitating to book another.
I appreciate it. So yeah, let's look at this while we have a little bit of time. Quick Marth Falco game on Stadium. It's only about a minute or 2 minutes. Okay, so like we established from the get-go, this drop-down laser here is super good because it kind of is basically already the distance, right? He dashes back after this first laser, right?
Yep.
But right here, right? This almost looks identical to this, right?
I am at
So
ideal Marth distance, which is not.
yeah. So yeah, you basically want to deal with that. So now he's close to you, so something like an aerial might be a little stronger. But let's see how you deal with this combo. All the way. Okay, so I will say this is a common habit a lot of like lower level players have. The second they get out of a combo, they fight right back in, right? So even though I think you hit him with down air here, I'm not exactly sure, but the idea is that you just took 40% because Marth got a YOLO grab, right? You get hit by 2 up tilts and you narrowly escape a dash attack. It's kind of funny. I think that Marth is like kind of broken in the sense that when he drops a combo, he gets the chance to drop it twice before it actually drops, right? Like here he messes up off the second up tilt, right? This is a dropped combo after the air dodge, but then he can just dash attack and that would reach, but you get the rollout perfectly in time. So that's the second chance, right? But what I'm trying to say is that you just escaped this dash attack, you just escaped pressure, and then you're right back in, right?
Yeah.
I think better players will take the time to either crouch cancel as set up like a threat, or shield or the full hop or whatever. Crouch cancel is my preference in this situation nowadays, just because I really like being able to reversal people versus having to win neutral outright from a jump or something. But yeah, I think just as a point, a small habit, not really relevant to what you and I talked about today, but jumping back in, especially against Marth, once you get out of a combo, is often like a really bad habit, because it kind of sets the Marth up just to be able to run away a bunch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
people too. Like, well, I dropped it. Let me dodge because he's gonna attack.
yeah, exactly, right? Like it's an instinctive thing for both people. Oh, I'm out. Okay, now it's my turn. And oh, he got away. Now I need to get out, right? Like those are both instinctive thoughts for both people. So that's why it's like a good thing to kind of like break that mold, right? So you just got out of a combo and now you're willing to be defensive versus like aggressive, right? Um, because I think a big misconception a lot of people have about fighting games in general is that there is no such thing as it's my turn to play, right? It's you got to earn it. So yeah. Anyway, this is you throwing it away. This is basically what I'm saying. But it's okay. It's totally fine. I'm just joking a little bit. But yeah. So up throw up tilt. Okay, so here you reestablish some distance, but I think rather than full hopping like that, laser is good.
Yeah.
And here, like this down air here, I get why, because maybe you think, oh, he power shielded, now he's going to come at me, and it's possible. But I think once you kind of like really get comfortable with the idea of ranges in this matchup, you'll kind of realize that there's really not much Marth can do to like threaten you before you're able to shoot another laser. And on the flip side, there's really not much reason to go for a down air like this unless you're hard calling him out coming towards you, or that he's going to be here when the down air is actually there. Otherwise, like I said, laser controls the whole stage and it is free pressure. Especially at certain distances where Marth isn't able to reach you, it is free pressure, right? So
Yeah,
downers like this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I guess I should really only be throwing out dares when I'm inside that Marth optimal range. And this was like still happening.
Yeah, either he's already in it, you could throw out the down air, or you have a hard read that he's about to be in it, right? And that's when the down air is good from a shooting laser perspective. If you wanted to run forwards and catch him running away, that's also a really aggressive option to do that. But generally speaking, just as like a default, there's no reason to not laser here, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just an idea to kind of talk about when to approach, when not to. Two pretty common examples. And then yeah, because look what happens, right? You get hit by a grab here, right? Forward throw, he gets a tech chase, edge guard, and now you're dead. And like truthfully, there is things you can do, right? You could have rolled away, you could have teched when he hit you with a forward air, right? You could have gone up with the up B. But Marth has the ability to cover all those. So really, when you boil all that down, you could have had better defensive play outside of that, but the main problem is that you went in at the wrong time and got grabbed, and then it leads to death, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the main takeaway there, I would say, because I think a lot of, especially like spacies, they'll be like, oh, I could have hit this smash the eye here, and I could have like gone low and smashed the eye to the ledge and tech and instant side B while I'm invincible, and it would have worked. I should have just done that, and it's like, dude, you should have just not down aired there, right?
Yeah.
And also, just as a side point, I don't think Smash DI is really as strong against Marth versus. Well, really, I just don't think Smash DI Marth's moves really just works for most characters because he's usually a single hit character. So yeah. Anyway. So yeah, that was a free down air. If you could have hit it.
Yeah.
So now you're in the corner. Okay, now you have laser approaching Marth a lot in the corner. We talked about that. Like the Mewtwo King example, the stereotype. Marth is really scary to approach in the corner, but him on the ledge is really bad. So that's the distinction there. Don't want to approach Marth in the corner too much, especially where you have laser and all the stage control behind you. That's generally a bad idea. Like you'll see Ginger, unless he's hard calling someone out, will never do that kind of like approach you in the corner thing. He will always laser, and it frustrates a lot of players.
Yeah.
So
you just build up laser until they do something.
Yeah, or like until they do something to like flinch or overcommit, and then he gets a huge punish off it for no risk, right? That's the idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nair, and then you got kept DI in there. So yeah, that's just DI in. Okay, so grab the ledge. That's a good ledge stall. I would say here, just quick note, we can have a session where we talk about how to edge guard in general. But if you are going to grab the ledge against Marth or get up from ledge, I would say from ledge is way better. Crouch cancel down smash like this only really works against poor poor sweet spots. Like they don't really like sweet spots that aren't really a non-sweet spot is the word I'm looking for. Jeez, I can't speak. This is after a day of working. I'm so sorry. But yeah, anyway, this down smash will only really beat non-sweet spot. I think in general, it's better to abuse invincibility, which is why I was really pumped to see this up B refresh like here, because you get invincibility and you can roll from ledge, or you can call out his side Bs and back air him for it, right?
Yeah.
But either way, like sometimes this down smash, especially if you mash it and he gets like the Sakurai angle on his up B, it can, well, first of all, you won't crouch cancel it truly at 0 because of Sakurai angle.
True.
But also, if you mash down smash, you have the potential of falling off stage if he gets the reverse hitbox, and then you could potentially die. So I think there's just a little bit more risk involved with the down smash, especially where he has the ability to sweet spot around it, whereas invincibility is much more difficult for him to deal with. So yeah, I would definitely recommend save this down smash for hard callouts on non sweet spot more than anything.
Okay. Yeah, make him think about it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea. Okay, so here you're getting juggled. That's tough. That's just kind of, if you don't have slide off or up airs, this is just a rough spot to be, and that's the worst DI that can happen. So there you just got mixed up a little bit. That happens. Yeah. Okay, so miss your down air shine. Right, so here you get the down air after the laser, right?
Yep.
You call him out on him trying to dash back grab. But then you just miss the tech flub. That's just kind of Falco. Sometimes it's a little bit shorter timings for things. Okay, here you're getting gimped. Here you double jump. Yeah. Okay, so I think in general, when you get down tilted like this, the air dodge here is great. But I think mixing up how you're air dodging, if that makes sense, makes this more difficult for him. So why I say that, I am of the belief that, especially when you get F throw down tilted like this at the ledge, from the Marth's perspective, right? All he has to do in this spot, what a lot of Marths will do after they get this down tilt at the ledge here, is they'll instantly commit to something, right? And that's why a lot of the air dodges that Spox and Falco players will do work. But truth be told, this should be a death sentence for Marth, because better Marths will, after the down tilt, they will react to what option you pick, and then they cover it, right? Versus where a lot of them will just do like F throw into like triple down tilt or an F smash, trying to catch you double jumping poorly. So here, right, he wave dashes instantly after the down tilt, right? If we watch, right, instantly. So now this air dodge works, but from your perspective, you're like, okay, I live here, because truthfully, you should be dead, but you're like, okay, I live. So he's going to go for it again, right? This time you DI out, which is great. And here, I honestly do think this air dodge is fine, because, like I said, this F throw at ledge here should just be a death sentence for most players if you can't double jump sweet spot to ledge. There is a double jump sweet spot. I'm not sure if you knew about that. I can't really tell you exactly where it is, because I just kind of do it based off feel, but there are video guides on it for sure.
Yeah, I've seen people do like a shine and then jump in.
Yeah,
which seems really good.
They're shining just so they can double jump at the exact same spot every time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
So being able to do the double jump raw is a lot harder, but a lot better also, because Marth players will often, or really anybody, they'll react to the shine and kind of grab the ledge so you can't sweet spot it.
Yeah.
Or down air or whatever. But anyway, I would suggest learning double jump sweet spot, just so this situation isn't confirmed death every time. But in this case, where I'm assuming you don't know it, it's pretty much confirmed death. So here, when you air dodge, this is really the only air dodge you can do. But this last one, I think you do have the ability to either mix up, if I play it back here, after this one. Here, I think you have the ability, after this down tilt. Oh, okay, he hits the down tilt, sorry. I just misread this. After this down tilt, you have the ability to mix up how you air dodge. So each time, what you've done so far, the first time just because you chose it, the second time is because you were forced, but here you have a little bit of leeway, where you do this double jump straight up and then in, right? That's what you're trying to do, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Versus instead, what you could do right? You get hit by the down tilt. You could do double jump straight up and downwards, inwards. You might still get hit by the jab, but you don't die outright because sometimes the jab will send you behind. But the idea, or you could even double jump here. You could do after the down tilt.
Yeah, or come from below and spot dodge or air dodge upwards.
Yeah, exactly. Like go like diagonally, right? Because you get sent pretty far out here, right? So you start it like at a kind of like an awkward angle. But yeah, you could double jump towards and then double jump up or air dodge, sorry, above the down tilt. Don't get me wrong, he can still dash back grab it, but it's just so you're not dying to down throw after down tilt. You're making it as difficult as possible for him, right? But I think the main idea is that you air dodge kind of the same way 3 times in a row, and on the 3rd time he kind of caught it, right? Like if we look at it here, straight up in, straight up in, straight up in, and then die, right?
Yep.
So there he kind of catches on to it. So yeah, honestly, this game is like, it's a little unfortunate that this was the game we watched in general. We could talk about it. We could watch this one another time, but I think that game was more so just like a couple like situational tech flubs against Marth versus sticking to a game plan more so. I think the moments where you kind of did show signs of sticking to the game plan a little bit, even though I know you didn't know it at the time, but moments where we kind of talked about things that could happen, you would either drop the combo or just kind of go in for no reason versus committing to it. But I think we can kind of see like bits and pieces here and there in the vault where that game plan would have come in really handy, right? Plus a couple other things, just like I said, like the air dodging or going in versus going out after escaping a combo, like those kind of things. Like those are just universal things you could improve upon, I think. But for Marth in particular, we definitely talked about like ways this could have been implemented in that game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Some Falco's game plan versus Marth, and you can just tell me to reread the text, but it's basically laser him to control the stage using those different laser heights to mix them up. And then when he tries to get closer, pick an option that, punishes him for needing to commit past the laser.
Sorry, repeat the second part just so I make sure I understand your wording.
Sure, yeah. When he tries to come in to get past the laser, choose some option that, capitalizes on him needing to pick an option that beats laser.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how you would get a hit. I think there's always, like I said, like there's always nuance to the situation, right? He can fake going in and then come back in, right? So it can get a little tricky, like because your opponent is also a human. But generally speaking, yeah, that is the idea of how you play Falco Marth as Falco. You can always optimize it from here, right? You can go ahead, watch SSVM tutorial videos. How do you edgeguard Marth? You can watch Leffen. You can watch Cody. They'll talk about how to do it with Fox, which often applies to Falco. There's tons of resources out there, but no matter what, this is always true. You always are going to be building upon this from here on out, which is great. Which is why I'm very big on, like I said, long-term improvement in my sessions versus like if we watch that VOD right now and I just kind of told you, yeah, you could have not gone in here, and like, what does that do for you now, right? Not too much. So the idea is that we're building off a game plan, right? So
Cool.
Yeah, I hope it was helpful.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other questions before we end things here and I give like a little ending spiel to you?
No, I think you hit everything. I mean, we didn't talk about movement, but I think that's like a large topic, so we can save the time.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree. I think movement, especially in Falco Marth, is a little bit situational, even just because laser is kind of like an always present being, ideally, if you're playing it right. So it's less so like a thing like Fox and Falcon on how they move with Marth. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm really glad to hear that it was helpful. Really appreciate you booking a first time lesson with me. I am going to invite you to my Discord server, where I have all my other Metafy students in there. Sometimes I'll do lesson giveaways or discounts, or most recently I've started doing sub tournaments for my Twitch stream, and all my Metafy students get to enter for free.
Oh, nice.
So I definitely would recommend checking those out. I'm not sure when the next one's going to be, just because with my new job and my new schedule, I'm not sure what exactly that's going to look like, but I will definitely I mean, if you have the notifications on in the Discord, you'll be for sure one of the first people to know. Um, but yeah, I think definitely join the Discord. Interact with all my other students. This session is going to be uploaded to YouTube, and you can probably see in the Discord there's a VODs channel where you have access to all my other Metafy student VODs, so you can check that out. But yeah, this will be uploaded to YouTube. You'll have this probably by the end of the night once it's done processing and uploaded. Yeah, and like I said, all my lessons are based on long-term improvements. So if you are interested in booking another session, definitely hit me up. We can talk about what to improve on, whether it be in this matchup or if you want help with other matchups. Happy to help. And yeah, the last thing I'm gonna ask is my manager for my sponsor has been really pushing me lately to try and get my students to shoot out a quick testimonial on Twitter or on Metafy. Either are great. I will let you know. It's not necessary by any means, but it does certainly help me a ton. So if you are interested in doing that, I'll definitely retweet it if you make a tweet or just put it on my Metafy page. But again, no pressure whatsoever. But yeah, I would definitely say for now, here's a basic Falco game plan, a couple resources on tech chasing, some neutral. And yeah, like I said, I'll have this video uploaded to you later tonight. But if that's everything, I will hopefully talk to you soon.
Awesome. Yeah, this was super useful, and I can definitely see scheduling more time to talk about options and edge guarding. So yeah, thanks so much, Mark.
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we'll talk soon then. Bye now.
Take care.